Internet Mexican bitch.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Spiked Gaming. Today, again, we're not doing any gaming footage. I haven't done that in a while. Actually, I did a little bit. If you would go back to the video history, I'm pretty sure I put up a Titanfall video up recently. But today we're talking about something else, and we're talking about something that's Warhammer related, Games Workshop related, I guess you could say, that has been going on for the last week or so, that I've been going through my Instagram, I've been going through Facebook, I've been going through all these social media posts. I've sort of seen people talk about it, and that's this new Warhammer spin-off for both 40k and Age of Sigmar, and that is Warhammer Adventures, which has the Warhammer gatekeepers out in fucking force, I might say. Okay, like people out here, they're furious. I'm talking about these people are pissed 100%, because a lot of people, what they're seeing here with this new series. First off, it's aimed at 8 to 12 year olds, right? So it's aimed at kids. So one of the things that that a lot of people seem to be complaining about is that they see that this is going to be a dilution, at least for Warhammer 40,000. It's going to be, they feel that it's going to dilute the grim darkness of the 40k universe. They feel that it's going to change. It's going to end up changing, I guess, the feel. They feel that the game's more of an adult theme, and I mean, really, considering that you have characters like Slaanesh, which is all a fucking a god of like what, sex and drugs and pleasure and all this shit, you could kind of see that argument, right? But I mean, at the same time, it's also kind of baseless when you think about it, because this is a spin-off. You know, Warhammer 40,000 books, like let's say Dark Imperium or the Horus Heresy series, or the whatever, you know, the stories of the Soul Drinkers and all that, they're not aimed at 8 to 12 year olds. They're not even written for 8 to 12 year olds, both in the narrative of the story and in the complexity at which it's written, right? So obviously this here is an introductory material for 8 to 12 year olds. It's to get kids interested in the hobby, you know. So, I mean, it's quite simple. If this isn't your cup of tea, don't buy it. I mean, I'm assuming if you're a 45-year-old man and you're into Warhammer, that most likely you're not going to be into Warhammer Adventures. Most likely you're reading the Horus Heresy books, or like me, I'm currently reading Dark Imperium. You know, I'm not going to be buying this for myself. I'm definitely going to be buying this for my niece and nephew, who I'm trying to get into the hobby. Definitely not buying it for myself, because it's not for me. And so people, yeah, there's people who are seeing it in that way. They think it's going to dilute the franchise, it's going to dilute the story, and no, it's a spin-off. It's going to be parallel, but not intersecting with the main lore, with the main focus of the hobby. So, you know, you go ahead and calm those little fears down right there. However, there is a whole other section of the hobby, a whole other section of the community that's against this move for reasons that are a lot more toxic. And that's one of the things that we have to acknowledge, and that is that our community has a very large portion of itself which is very toxic. You know, I see this when I'm on the Warhammer groups on Facebook. I see this as I'm going through people on Instagram. And by the way, follow me on Instagram at Spike Gaming, where I do post a lot of my painting, a lot of my models, a lot of my Warhammer shit, right? Which recently, off topic, I sold some Shadespire stuff I had to paint. I don't play Shadespire, so I usually just buy the warbands, paint them, and sell them. So I just sold another set, made $50, pretty happy. Anyway, so let's go back. So there's a whole section of our community that is incredibly toxic. I mean, so obviously people like that who are already bitching about the fact that there might be a female character in a book who happens to, you know, not be in a subservient role, or who bitches at the thought of female space marines because somehow that's less believable than faster than light travel achieved by traveling through hell, right? Somehow that's less believable than fucking super genetically engineered super soldiers, right? It's apparently, you know, if the super soldier has a vagina, all of a sudden it makes this entire universe unbelievable, right? Well, you're going to have this portion of the community obviously mobilize against this, and it's something that, I mean, I already expected it, and they're gonna, you know, they're gonna say that the reason they're against this is the same, that they're against this for the same reason that the other portion of the community is against it. They're against it because it's gonna dilute the franchise, it's gonna dilute the grimdark, and that they're not, and and that they're not against it because the books are including more diversity. And I mean, it is. It is somewhat including a more diverse cast. I mean, you have what appears to be a black girl, a girl who, and a black guy, a guy who might be a chick who appears to be wearing a hijab, according to Arch Warhammer. And these guys they see this, and they see this diversity, and they see it as an infiltration by social justice warriors into their hobby, and so they get all up in arms. And which honestly, if there is more diversity being introduced into the Warhammer universe, I don't understand why that would be an issue. Why the fuck not? The Imperium of Man spans the entire galaxy. It has millions of worlds under its jurisdiction, with hundreds of billions, nay, trillions of people within its population. You think that it's a homogenous empire, that all of a sudden everybody is blonde-haired, blue-eyed, master race, and fucking flying around through space? You think there's no diversity? That throughout the countless like vast worlds out there that are exposed to various different conditions, that somehow people living on these planets far away from each other wouldn't develop differing traits, that they wouldn't, be different in some way, that they haven't developed different cultures, different subcultures. It's like these people believe that that the entirety of the Imperium of Man should be one single homogeneous culture, Imperium-wide. That there'd be no variation. I think, to me, a more realistic Warhammer, or more realistic Imperium, is one where there is diversity. Because, come on, there's hundreds of billions of worlds in this universe. Trillions upon trillions of people. To think that it's incredibly homogenous, that's just ridiculous. And they'll tell you, some of these guys like Arch Warhammer will tell you that, oh no, we're not angry at this because there's diversity. But then at the same time, if you look at his latest video where he's talking about Warhammer Adventures 40k books for children, with a pinch of SJW, what's his description? Now with 90% more hijab. And that's one of the things that he's constantly touching. So what if she does have a hijab? Alright, so what if it is? Maybe it's just a fucking veil. Maybe she wants to be all ninja and shit. So what? I guess there's supposed to be no diversity? It's fucking ridiculous. But what really gets me is it really does get my fucking, it really gets under my fucking skin, because I love this hobby. So it fucking hates, I fucking hate, it fucking kills me, I should say, to fucking go online to try to participate in discussions, to try to get in there with the community, and then see fucking douchebags like SexyYellowGuy on Instagram, who he paints for Warhammer, and I think he has been featured by the Games Workshop official Instagram before. And I used to follow this guy. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, he's fucking great. His painting is amazing. He's an amazing painter, right? But one time he posted some post, or he went on and on about the white race is being replaced by Jews and all this stupid anti-Semitic shit. At that point, I unfollowed this fucking guy. But someone brought this to my attention, where now he's talking about Warhammer Adventures, and he says, looks like cultural Marxists have successfully infiltrated Games Workshop. What are your thoughts? My thoughts are that you're a fucking idiot, first of all. Cultural Marxists? No. Introducing a little bit of diversity into a universe where its empire, is composed of hundreds of billions of worlds across an entire galaxy with trillions of people in its population, and seeing diversity, to me, that doesn't point towards cultural Marxism. It points towards it being more realistic. And also, the fact that this company is making books for children to try to get at, to try to help create a loyal customer base by getting at your customers while they're still young, while you can still develop an incredibly strong sense of customer loyalty. This is something that I know a lot of us have. How many of us started playing games like Pokemon when we were young, and even now we still have fond feelings for them, that we still go out and buy some of these games, or buy them for our kids, or buy them for our nieces and nephews? And why not? Why is it not okay for Games Workshop to take the same approach, to get at kids while they're young, to help develop this, this sense of customer loyalty, this attachment to the franchise while the kid is young? So okay, right now he's into Warhammer Adventures. In a few years, when he decides, maybe he wants to step up a little bit, he buys an army. He buys the codexes. He buys books off of the Black Library. It's to equate this to cultural Marxism. It's fucking ridiculous. But it's his other comments where he comes on here and he talks about, the Warhammer universe is a predominantly white universe, completely forgetting, some of the original fucking legions of Space Marines, like the Salamanders, where the entire legion is black. You know what I mean? It's fucking ridiculous. The White Scars, you're gonna tell me the White Scars aren't at least somewhat based on Asian culture, specifically Mongols? It's fucking ridiculous. And they go on here and they're talking. He's saying shit like how these are made to be marketed towards non-whites. Apparently a fucking young white kid would not be able to enjoy Attack of the Necron or City of Lifestone. Apparently this is only something marketed towards us brownies and other inferior races. It's fucking ridiculous, That's part of the reason why I don't follow this douchebag anymore. And honestly, if you're out there and you follow this guy, I would say don't give him any fucking support. He himself has said he doesn't give a fuck about his view count, so take him up on it. Stop following this prick. Don't give him any support. You don't want to give these people a fucking voice, you know what I mean? Let them spread their fucking racist bullshit. Anyway, and let's go talk about fucking Arch Warhammer here, who, by the way, as soon as it was announced, you could tell homeboy is fucking triggered like a motherfucker. As much as this guy likes to mention SJWs and the feminids and all this shit, he gets triggered like a little bitch at the slightest indication that maybe the franchise should have a little bit more diversity. Maybe just a little tinsy bit more. Oh no, this guy gets triggered like a little bitch, dude. It's another reason I stopped following that fucking prick. Anyway, I digress. This is his latest video where he's talking about that both sides, the left and the right, are gonna, they're gonna overshoot their reaction. They're gonna overreact to this, right? Oh, damn, you can't hear it. Hold on, I'm having a little bit of difficulty here. Whatever. Go watch the video. For some reason, it's not picking up the audio, but he basically says there's going to be an immediate overreaction, and that the left is going to accuse people like him of not liking this project because it includes more diversity, right? But then again, you're constantly going on about the fucking girl wearing the hijab and how this is obviously social justice warrior bullshit because the kids look androgyn. So, in other words, you're saying that, the left is going to attack you by saying that you don't like this because it includes more diversity, and then go on to bitch about how it includes more diversity. But then again, I could see where you're coming from. Not that I agree with it, because I absolutely don't, but I know that that's your stance because I also have watched your lounge videos where I watched your, and responded to, by the way, your incredibly idiotic take on DACA. But I digress, right? And let's go to the page. Alright, we had a little bit of technical difficulty right there, so we had to stop. But now that we're back, so a lot of people are against characters like her, which are, she seems to be like a pacifist. She seems to, it says in her description, she hates weaponry. So there might be a point in this book where she tries to deliver a message of like, maybe we shouldn't, always resort to violence to solve our problems. Maybe there's other ways we can solve our problems. Maybe there's other solutions. And in regular Warhammer, this is something that does not work, right? But again, this is for 8 to 12-year-olds. So, could you really be that against delivering a more pacifist message to kids? Again, these books are aimed at kids. And considering that we're only in, fucking May of 2018, and there's already been 23 school shootings in the United States, and how many fucking 60-something fatal fucking stabbings, 37 fatal stabbings and 62, I believe, overall murders in London, where, by the way, Games Workshop is from the UK. So yeah, 62 overall just murders in London. Considering what a bloody year it's been, do you really think that it's such a bad idea to maybe deliver this kind of message to kids that maybe, hey, maybe when you're having an issue, don't immediately resort to violence. It's like that. It pisses you guys off so much that the message we're trying to deliver to kids is, don't go out and start fucking killing people to solve your fucking problems. Because I see that having a character like this who maybe wants to tone it down a little bit, I see that shit as a positive message, as a positive role model. But some of you guys, you guys see this as a threat to your hobby. Again, it's not. It's a spin-off. It runs parallel but never intersects with what you and I are into. It's something specifically aimed at children to help them gain interest into a hobby that will hopefully fucking create loyal customers in the future, and thus keep Warhammer, keep Games Workshop going for years to come. Because first and foremost, as much as you love this hobby, as much as you love the books, the video games, the tabletop games, all that, first and foremost, above all that, Games Workshop is a business. And the number one goal of all businesses is to increase shareholder wealth. Right? They're looking out for their stakeholders. Right? So this is a business move by which they do fucking look out for shareholder wealth by ensuring a steady stream, a steady supply of future loyal customers. Because guess what, motherfuckers? Y'all already established. Y'all already got big ass armies. You ain't buying fucking miniatures as much as you fucking used to. Alright? We have a whole generation of kids coming into this who are going to develop the buying power, who may have some buying power right now to go out and at least start collecting box. And that's who they're trying to get to. Right? So, and again, this is a spin-off. This is an introductory course into things to come. Right? But you guys get so pissed off at characters like her, and the one that cricked me up the most is this guy, Talon. This little kid who, I've heard him called a traitor and all that because he ran away. Look, it says, the son of a loyal Imperial Guard officer, 13 years old, ran away from home to avoid being enlisted in the military. At 13, you're not being enlisted in the military. You're being conscripted most likely. And everyone's acting like this is a fault of his. Like, a fucking 13-year-old kid doesn't want to go out and fucking die. They don't want to go out and go to fucking war. And mind you, this is not war like in the real World War where we're fighting other people. This is a war where they're fighting fucking Tyranids, Necrons, fucking demons, right? So obviously, the kid doesn't probably want to fucking do that. He's probably seen the effects that kind of shit has had on his father. And so he's gone out. He's fucking escaped. And okay, I'm not really agreeing with the fact that he went and decided to join a gang. That's not necessarily the best, role model right there. But the whole running away so he's not conscripted into the Imperial Guard, that kind of doesn't seem like a fault, right? That kind of seems like, yeah, like fucking regular kids, like, would fucking run away to not have to be conscripted into the military to go fight somebody else's war that they most likely never wanted anything to do with in the first place. And the reason I'm showing this clip is this is from the movie Innocent Voices, where the Salvadorian army showed up to this village to take a bunch of the 12-year-old boys to forcibly enlist them in the military, and all the kids were hiding. Because guess what? 12, 13-year-olds, so on, they don't want to go to war. I know when I was 12, when I was 13 specifically, I was more interested in jacking off to the free porn I found on the internet, not so much in trying to go die in in Iraq, for instance, or Afghanistan. This one I agree with, though. I mean, heretic, you know what I mean? It says she's an inventor. If I recall correctly, the Adeptus Mechanicus looks down on innovation. Can't be an inventor. Heresy, right? But mostly people seem to be pissed off about this character and this character because they're in a book where the Necrons are the bad guys. Okay, well, considering that fucking Ultramarines are mentioned also, I doubt these three little fucking kids are gonna be the ones facing down the entire Necron force on their own. But whatever. It's pretty fucking hilarious. We think about just the negative feedback that this book series has drawn, and how ridiculous, by the way, I should mention how ridiculous the arguments are. It's gonna dilute. No, it's not gonna dilute shit. It's fucking It's a spin-off. It runs parallel. It doesn't intersect. Or the idea that this is done by social justice warriors to include more diversity, to force diversity down our throats, because in a galaxy-wide imperium with hundreds of billions of planets under its jurisdiction, with trillions of people in its population, there's no way in hell that diversity would exist naturally. I mean, even in the United States, with just a couple fucking, a couple 100 fucking million people that we have, even this fucking country has tons of fucking diversity, and we're not a fucking galaxy-wide empire. I mean, listen to the way someone from California versus from someone from Boston versus someone from New York, how they talk, how they act, how they dress, what pastimes they have, fucking how they look, you know, fucking racial diversity across the fucking country. I mean, and to think that similar levels of diversity wouldn't exist in a galaxy-wide empire, it's fucking ridiculous. And, you know, honestly, it's a little eye-opening to see this kind of bullshit, because it shows you that there are levels of toxicity in our community which I feel need to be called out, which I feel need to be purged. You know, they need to be called out, like SexyYellowGuy. You know, whenever he posts he goes on these little racist rants, and I've seen it before that if he gets enough negative feedback on, he'll delete it. The last one that he deleted was talking about white people being replaced and the Jew and all that shit. He deleted that shit, and he went on talking about how it wasn't because I'm self-censoring because of you SJWs, when clearly it was because he was being reported to fucking the Warhammer community page that was featuring his fucking his miniatures, you know. Either way, that's just my thoughts on the issue. Maybe if you agree, disagree, whatever, leave that shit in the comments. Are you buying this for your kids? Do you guys think this shit's beneficial, or do you think that it's going to be problematic for the hobby as a whole? Again, I think it's beneficial. It's going to bring more people. It's going to secure the future of the hobby because it's going to create interest. It's going to create loyal customers. And considering that it's going to be a spin-off and not going to influence the main lore as a whole, I don't see it as being an issue. But hey, tell me what you think. This has been the Internet Mexican here on Spiked Gaming. Thank you guys for watching.